buyer.
Okay, okay. And that, but that was before.
Relationship.
That
Yeah,
was before too. What else?
But it's, I think it kind of secures.
Jenny?
Sets the expectation.
Nowadays, it puts that buyer into a perspective that they become more serious of buying.
I mean, definitely, that you're definitely going to have a situation where they're not gonna sign something if they're not serious. So it will help you and I eliminate working with people who are not necessarily serious about actually moving forward and advancing themselves in real estate. I would agree with that. And it does build the loyalty and it does build the mutual expectation, but it sort of already did that before. So now with the nuance of it being mandated, how does that specifically help us? Do you see in a way that that might help us? It's okay if you don't know. I can share my spin on it because it could just be. By the way, if anybody cares to know, I am the guy who is overly optimistic, and here's what I mean by that. If I've got in my pickup truck right now today, in fact, it says I have 62 miles still empty. I am the guy that will run that down to about 2 miles before I have to get fuel. And then if I still don't have any time, I may even drive a few miles on zero. All right, so I realize that I tend to err on the side of optimism rather than skepticism. I could see that, I get that, and yet what I see is the fact that now there's nothing that can hold us back from setting that appointment with the client. Now when the client pushes back on you and says, well, I'm not ready for all of that. I just want to go see the house on Witherell Place. You know what, Demring, I would love to do that. In fact, in the good old days, 2 weeks ago, I would have just made the appointment and gone out there. But the problem now is the governor that this state has voted in has decided to mandate and take some of your rights away as a buyer. And now, believe me, now here's the deal. You can agree with mandates and you can agree with your governor or not. That's not the point. The point is the truth. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
And so, if you support the governor, what I'm saying might sound like I'm being crass. I'm not. I'm telling the truth. This is what happened. The governor signed an order that mandates that a signature be in place, and therefore the buyer-client, it removes some of their options. We are no longer allowed to freely go out and just work with a buyer. We now have to have a meeting, sit down, and have them sign a document. Okay? So you could use that in your favor with a client who might be pushing back on you by just explaining that California really doesn't allow me to do that anymore. As much as I would like to, even though maybe you don't, maybe you want to have them. Well, I don't know. Maybe do you want them to sign an agreement with you before you work with them?
Of course.
Yeah, of course we do, right? And for some reason, in the listing, have you ever get nervous or weird or contemplate the fact that you might go on a listing appointment and bring a listing agreement with you? No, right? You're going to bring a listing agreement with you. Why? It's the agreement, and everybody in the position knows that at the end of this meeting, I'm going to be asked to sign a listing agreement. That's the seller. The seller knows that, and you as the agent knows that. The broker knows that. The neighbor knows that. Everybody knows that there has to be an agreement in place in order for you to work with a seller. So we don't have any apprehension. Now, we might be nervous to go on the appointment. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about an apprehension to actually discuss and bring out an agreement to say we're going to sign this together, right? Like, that's what there's no apprehension. What brings the apprehension when we're working with a buyer?
On the side of this.
It's something that is not, we are not accustomed to.
We're not accustomed to it.
Yeah.
They're not used to it, and they think they're getting themselves into something that they may not be able to get out of, and they're sketchy.
Right.
Whose fault is that? Ours. It's the realtor population's fault, right? You know, there are certain I'm gonna say the word cultures, I don't mean it culturally like race or
Like that.
that. No, I mean culturally as in real estate industry, within the real estate industry. For example, my wife and I invested in some property in Tennessee, and when we went back there, this is way before all this lawsuit stuff. When we went back there and bought a property, it was a RE/MAX agent, because I was RE/MAX back then, and so we went into the agent's office, and she sat down and she did her buyer presentation with me, and then she broke out the buyer representation agreement for the state of Tennessee, because that's what they do there.
Got you.
Because I asked, I said, I'm really proud of you right now. You're warming my heart. I knew I picked the right agent. And she's, why? What about, because you're doing this. We all do this.
Okay, got you.
Do you not do this? I don't want to say. Time out. Raise the conversation. Yeah, because in California, we don't typically do that, but in Tennessee, they do. Well, at least in Cleveland, Tennessee, they do, right? That's in that market area, everybody does it, so everybody's accustomed to it. We're not. So the thing is that we, as the professionals, must educate the client and coach the client base. We must be the professionals. Do you believe that real estate will look the same 5 years from now as it looks today?
No.
No. Do you believe that there still will be realtors?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, there's an optimist.
I'm gonna say that he's a realist.
A real, there you go.
I'm gonna say he's a realist.
Thank you.
And I'm optimistic, but I'm gonna lean on Demery's realism. And I'm gonna say, yes, I believe so too. Here's the sad news, the sad, inevitable news that we can all, it doesn't matter whether you're an optimist or a skeptic or a realist, you can look in the windshield and see the roadblocks and the bumps and all the things that are ahead of us, and it's just realizing that we're probably going to be half what we are today.
Wow.
So the question is, who will be standing?
It's always a good
Who will still be in the business?
Those who follow the law and the regulations.
Those who are professionals, which I would say, Gloria, yes, you are right. You just explained it to me and defined professionalism. Those that are well educated, they know the law, they know their forms, and they are able to pass that education and that coaching on to their client base. Those are the realtors that will still be standing 5 years from now. And the other half can go do whatever they want to do. We can release them back to the marketplace. I had a conversation with somebody today on the phone, another agent from another office, and it's pretty interesting. You guys ever know something so much that, and another person that you're talking to doesn't know what you know, and you feel like not sorry for them, but you have sort of like
Eagerness to.
an eagerness, right? An eagerness to go, oh my gosh, Clara, if you only knew, and I want to shake you right now because you don't, and I want to just, but the other person's not receiving it.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
That's what we call a know-it-all.
it's not registered.
Yeah, it's not registering. If the most successful man in real estate, who's the most successful man in real estate?
Warren Buffett,
Trump.
Trump.
Y'all are traitors.
Nice.
Gary Keller.
Keller Williams.
Drew.
Gary Keller. For Pete's sake.
It's the obvious. Come on.
Gary Keller sells more real estate than any other man on planet Earth.
That's news to me.
How do we not know that? You don't know this?
I said
No.
Gary Keller.
Who owns the most franchises in the world?
Gary Keller. Gary Keller.
Who houses, what agency has the most real estate agents?
Gary Keller.
Keller.
Which company sells more real estate than any other real estate company on the planet?
Keller Williams.
The most successful real estate man known to mankind to this date is?
Gary
Keller.
Right. Right? Now, Don likes to be coined as the real estate king. And Don very well may own, I don't have any idea what Gary owns versus what Don owns. I don't know what either one of them own, and I really don't care. But what I do know is that Gary Keller is definitely the real estate king for realtors. Would we agree?
Yes.
Would we rather take our real estate advice from Don or Gary?
Gary.
Gary.
All day long and twice on Sunday, I would rather listen to Gary. Yeah? Not that I don't like Don, but Gary is obviously the king when it comes to real estate. So, in fact, so much so that he wrote a book. Have you heard of this book?
Yes.
Millionaire Real Estate.
Yeah, right. Okay, so I'm among friends, so we know. Okay, so the book says one thing, and then when you're talking to someone and they spew something that you know contradicts the book, that's tough, isn't it?
Right.
Those are the ones that are going away. So do not, what am I trying to get across? Do not be afraid to be the educator and to be the professional in the business relationship with your clients. And the reason that I bring this up, because in my 25 years, I have found that realtors think that customer service means that the client is always right.
That's not true. No, that's not.
Is the client always right?
No, not at all.
Okay,
No.
they are right and what they want, but we are, as a professional, it's our job to educate them and guide them through the process. That's why they hire us, because they don't know everything.
Okay, we can all leave. Gloria summed it up. Mic drop. That's exactly right. We are the professional. It'd be no different than us going to the doctor and walking in and telling the doctor, this is what you're gonna prescribe.
I know, right?
If you have that doctor, fire him and find somebody new, right? Like, that's not why we're there. We're there to get a prescription. Well, it's the same thing here. So when your clients are hiring you, they're hiring you with the expectation that you know your market, you know your laws, you know your forms, and you understand the business of real estate and helping people buy and sell real estate and invest in real estate. Yes or yes? So if your client is making a decision based on the lack of knowledge, whose job would it be to make sure that they have the correct knowledge to make the decision? Yes, so we have to become strong in our communication skills. And where does that come from? It comes from knowledge, which gives us, which gives us confidence.
Yes.
When we have knowledge, then we have confidence, and when we have confidence, that's going to help us to communicate it more effectively to our clients.
Yeah.
And when we do that, we're probably going to win the client over more. And therefore, by the way, when we're negotiating commissions, because in the United States of America, and especially in the state of California,
Yes.
all commissions are negotiable and they are not standardized or set by law.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Okay, we got that out of the way. We said that, it's on video, we got it recorded, we're good. Also comply with all TCPA laws.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so, you have to get that.
Okay,
Lori,
when you say TCPA,
yeah,
what it stands for?
I don't know, but don't call them. If they're on the do not call list, don't call them. That's what that means. It's kind of like when you go buy a house and they give you those loan documents that are about 1.5 inches thick, and people go, what does all this say? I can summarize it in one sentence. No pay, no house. They take it from you. Done. That's it. You could have it on an index card. That summarizes it. Okay, no house.
That's a good one.
Huh?
That's a good one.
What?
Easy.
Yeah, it's easy. Like, people get in the weeds about stuff, and it's like, just don't make your house payment and see what happens. Like, that's the rule. That's it, right there. Make it on time, and you're good. You can live there. So it's our job to remain professional and therefore show our value through those means of being professional and being the coach and being the professional that will allow us to command more commission. Did you know that agent that I was speaking with today, who was with Realty Executives, I asked, I was doing through some numbers with him, and I asked, what does he think the average commission that he receives is? And I said, is 2.5 safe? He said, oh my gosh, in a dream world.
In a dream world.
Wow, the dream, wow.
Oh, because they're charging 2?
Oh my gosh, this guy needs us so bad. My passion, I have to make sure because my passion will come through the phone and like grab him and like bring him through the phone line because that's what I want to do. But I know that'll be a turnoff, so I can't, so I have to hold back. But he needs us. Did you know that Keller Williams agents, the average is 2.87?
That's good.
And I did share that with him. And he didn't understand why. You think there might be a correlation between being the /1 training company on planet Earth and the commissions?
Yes.
Yes.
The average KWAV agent makes $101,000 a year, and the average National Association of Realtors agent makes $54,000 a year. Almost double. Could there be a correlation? Now, what would it look like? We have an office of 350 people. That includes about 12 people in Ridgecrest and about 30 people on the east side. Okay? Look how many people are in the room. Who's a mathematician that can do a real quick count? There's some people that can like look at a room and just go, bam, right?
Nine.
9 people in the room. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on Zoom. But I think one of those is Armando. So 17 or 18 people out of 350 people. Now, here's the thing. We can bring the content. We can bring the classes. Do we?
Yes,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Yes, you do.
I mean, we're here today, right? And yet we only have 17 or 18. So imagine what it would look like if Keller Williams agents, if instead of having 18, by the way, I'm not coming down on you, you guys are all here, I'm just saying, imagine how different that would be if we ended up with having to have a warehouse or everybody be on Zoom, and we have to limit the capacity in the building to 50. Because isn't that really what it should be?
Yeah, of course.
Right.
We have to limit the capacity in the building to 50. But what we can't do is make you engage.
Right.
And so oftentimes agents during this type of market, they will make a decision to choose to leave to another company. Now, I would say that they're right to do so when they're coming to Keller Williams. And I'm not just saying that because if you poked me, little red KWs would come out. That's not why I'm saying that. I'm saying that because I know and I believe with every conviction and passion in my whole body that Keller Williams is the #1 training company on planet Earth, and we create millionaires and we create successful top producers, do we not?
Yeah.
How do we know this?
Because we see them every day.
Because we see it. There's evidence of this.
The number shows up.
Yeah, those that engage and those that show up for trainings will win. And those who do not choose the shiny star of somebody promising them a lead that won't actually call them back or take their call or even close, by the way. But when you're promised that lead and you're not engaging in the company that you're actually with, you might actually say, oh, shiny object syndrome, they'll help me do better. When the reality is they don't even have the capacity to help you do better, right? Yeah? So that's why it's so important for all of us to engage. Could you imagine what the average annual income of a KWAV agent would be in Ridgecrest if we were all showing up all the time? It'd be a couple $100,000 pretty easy. And we would end up with 50% of the market share, I'm sure. In fact, we probably would have a point where we'd have to lock, we wouldn't let people in. Sorry,
We're not
you
taking
chose
any
EXP, good luck.
No, thank
Right?
you.
So I've been in this business for so long, and I've seen how agents how they work with their client, and they think their client is always right. And the truth of the matter is they're not. In fact, they're rarely right. They're rarely right. Being a professional means you are being the professional and coaching and educating your client to the highest level. That is customer service. Telling them the truth is customer service.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
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 Right?
I agree.
if you're sitting across from somebody and they have a piece of lettuce stuck right in the middle of their teeth, do you tell them or do you not tell them?
Tell them, let them know.
Some people think not tell,
Yeah.
and that's okay. But if I was the one who had the lettuce, and I'm walking around, how you doing, Jenny? What's going on? I'm gonna go into the bathroom later and I'm gonna look and I'm gonna feel devastated.
Right. Good enough.
Because I just talked to about 50 people that all saw the lettuce in my teeth. I would much rather you say, Drew, buddy, like, take care of the issue here. Right? Right.
Do you eat something with cilantro?
If I go to Yard House and have the tacos, then that's when it's a problem. So tell your clients the truth. Tell them that they're overpriced. Tell them that what they're asking for is unreasonable. Not tell. Coach and educate. Coach and educate about commissions. First of all, let me ask this question before I ask that question. Are realtors a necessity in the industry of buying and selling real estate?
Yes.
Yes.
I believe 2 of you. Do you really believe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like a pastor right now, getting on top of the thing, going, fire. Do you know Jesus?
Yes.
That's what I feel like. That's important too, by the way. Actually, that's the most important thing. But do you guys see where I'm coming from?
Yes.
If we are important and we truly believe that we are important, and with conviction we can say, yes, absolutely, realtors are the way, then why in the world would we take a 1% listing or represent a buyer for 1%? That's all I'm worth? Would you rather buy the produce at Vons or Walmart?
The bonds.
But do we sometimes go to Walmart to buy the produce?
Yes.
Yeah, because we're gonna do what?
Same.
Save money, because we don't see the value. But everybody in the room said Vons, which means we all agree that Vons probably has the better produce.
Very quality.
But here's what they didn't do. They didn't communicate that enough. We don't feel that conviction enough. And there are realtors that take 1% and 2% commissions, and they're still in business. Because the consumer is saving money, because the agent was not able to convict that client enough to understand the value of paying the correct price. And the correct price is not standardized or created by law.
Right.
The correct price is negotiated between the broker and the client. And the correct price is up for negotiation. Who knows what that might be?
Right.
For one of my pastors in Ridgecrest who was selling his home to one of the folks in the congregation and moving to another state, and all I had to do was put it all together, I did it for 4%. Because that was what was fair for me to consummate that deal. And I got it done today. That's what we negotiated. That was the right price. That was the correct price. Are you following what I'm saying?
Right.
So you should, in this environment, be able to command 3% from your buyers.
Mhm. Yeah.
Did you hear what I said?
Yes.
In this environment, you should be able to command 3% from your buyers. If realtors are a necessity to the industry for the sake of helping people buy and sell real estate, then in this market environment, wouldn't it be even more crucial?
Yes, sir.
What stops us from getting the 3%?
Honestly, fear, I think.
Fear.
Fear, because you have, you think about that if you do 3 and they'll come up with somebody else that did 2
Yeah.
or 2.5, they'll go.
Yeah.
Because maybe we have not shown them the value of who we are.
It'd be
You
like,
just said it between Walmart and.
right. It'd be like, what now, I want to let you know that I do buy my stuff at Vons. You don't find me in a Walmart unless I absolutely have to. Because I personally see the value. Okay? But what didn't happen, right, is Vons is showing me the value and makes me want to go into Vons and buy the stuff. that's not happening to enough people. So it's the same thing as realtors. We have to show the value. It'd be like Vaughn's when I walk in. It'd be like them saying, but wait, you forgot the produce. And I say, I know because I'm going to go to Walmart. Because no. I'll tell you what, we'll lower our price. So you'll buy it from us. We'll lower our price of the produce so that you'll buy it. No, they don't do that, do they?
No, not at all.
No, they do like try to price a little competitively, but they know that they have their value and they have their customer base of people that will pay more because they see the value, and that's what they do. And they have to all the time institute that value, and that could look like many things. How the shelves are stocked, how well it all is presented. Is the store clean? How about the clerk that knows who I am and knows that I'm in real estate and asks me about the market every single time that I go through his line, whether I have KW on or not? I could be in shorts and a t-shirt and a hat, and he knows who I am. That's a pleasant experience, right? We must do the same with our value. And now we have the greatest excuse on planet Earth. It is now mandated by the government that we sit down and talk with our client and have a representation agreement drafted. Gloria.
Is any link with the update of the new law or the regulations that we can provide to our clients?
Yes is the answer. I don't have it off the top of my head, but yes is the answer, and we can sure get it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you, Gloria. And so we'll do that. And that way, that's going to give you even more horsepower.
Validation.
Yeah, that's going to help you even more to say, I want to actually provide you with a link for what I'm saying, you know, that I'm not just talking, but I'm being real with you. So here's a link where Gavin signed the deal and making this a thing, right? So what I'd like to do is I'd like to just set an appointment. It won't take long, maybe 20 minutes, where you and I can just get together and we can go through this stuff, and then that way you can make an educated decision. Now, a couple things are going to happen, right? One is going to be if they're really not serious, then you just found out now. And it allows you to move on to a client who is serious. And you're not spinning your wheels on somebody who's not serious. The second thing that's going to happen is now you if they don't, then you obviously have more time. And then the second thing is now you actually have an appointment and you get the opportunity to sit down and show your value. And when you're finished showing your value, then you can pull out the buyer representation agreement. And what's great about these packages that CAR has put together for us is the very first document that's a part of the package is what? Disclosure of agency relationships.
Right.
Does that reaffirm? In fact, this document is also the first page of your buyer representation agreement as well. Right? It's the first part. But this allows, I'm sorry, I said buyer representation. It's also the first page of your purchase agreement as well. So I said that backwards, sorry. So the positive thing is that this document actually leads you into the conversation. Are you guys seeing this? So you're showing the value in the buyer representation appointment. And then you can lead right into now. Remember when I talked to you about on the phone, Jenny, when I said that now we're required by California to actually have this meeting, and as formality as we might both feel that it is, I do have to go over this next part with you before we can go out and look at those houses. Okay, so this first document is agency disclosure, and this is stating that in the state of California there are 3 types of agency. Yes?
Yes.
Do you see how this is going to help you transition into them signing an agreement with you?
Yes.
And this makes it very easy for you to do the assumptive close. What's the assumptive close?
That's good.
Sign.
Last night we had career night. We had 30 people in the room. George is giving, I do the first half, he does the second half, and at the end of that presentation, what am I doing? Anybody been in the class to know what I do?
It's been a while.
I'm walking around handing out the enrollment forms and a pen to every single person in the room.
Assumptive close.
Every single person in the room, even the mother that says I'm here to represent, to be here to support my son. Because I can't tell you how many times mom signed up too.
All right.
So it's called the assumptive clause. I'm assuming you're here for a reason.
Right.
What I've said
You're serious.
is good, and now you're gonna sign on the dotted line and give me some money. Right, that's the assumptive clause, I'm assuming it. So it's the same thing when I go into this. We're here today in this conference room going over my value, and I assume that when we're done, you're gonna sign and we're gonna go see houses. I'm not gonna say that,
Right.
please.
Right.
Oh my gosh, Jimmery's over there going, I'm gonna say it. No, don't say it. You're just gonna do it, by golly. You're just gonna do it. So then you go in to the agency representation, the agency disclosure document. Now, somebody summarize what this is.
Contract.
Don't disclose another, is an agency between the customer and the agent.
Close.
The duty,
Very
that we,
close.
the duty that we have,
Fiduciary.
as agent representing them, that we are loyal, we are there to protect their interests on their.
So you're right on it, Gloria, and you're right, Annabelle. It's the fiduciary, and it's the utmost care, and it's all of those things.
That word I cannot
But
pronounce.
most important, I'm sorry, Gloria, what'd you say?
That word, that's the word I cannot pronounce, that's what I need.
Oh, the fiduciary word? Okay. Just don't tell somebody it's the F word, and you'll be fine. So you go,
It starts with an F.
yeah, it starts with an F, I can't tell you what it is. They'll be like, whoa, I want out of here. So this document, yes, is showing all of those things, but I want to make sure that we all have clarity that this document all by itself is not.
Does not establish relations.
This document all by itself is not establishing the fiduciary. This document, as it stands alone, is not
It's not.
establishing the relationship between the client and the brokerage. This is a disclosing. Notice at the top, what does it say at the top?
Disclosure.
Disclosure. That's your first clue that it's a disclosure and not a contract. Okay. What's an agreement?
Contract.
It's a contract. And what's a contract?
Signed by both parties.
I keep jumping.
Signed by both parties, executing their agreement. Yeah, the agreement, fully executed, is the contract. The contract shows that this is what we agreed on and we executed it showing that this is what we agreed on. Yes or yes? So those documents will have something tricky at the top. Not tricky, I'm sorry, it'll have a cheat for you at the top. So if you ever get confused on what's a disclosure or what's an agreement, guess what the agreement will have on top?
I agree.
Agreement!
Right.
Lo and behold, look at this. So when it says disclosure, that's not contractual. When it says agreement, that is contractual. Yeah? Yes or yes?
Yes,
Right.
Okay.
the disclosure just explains what is that.
Just explains, just letting you know. Letting you know, okay? I spend time on this, you guys, because I have decided that God's not gonna take me home until I have reached every realtor. And they understand that this is not the established document. It is a disclosure of agency that so many do. I can't tell you how many times I've had secondhand embarrassment for agents that say, my client signed the agency disclosure, so they're my client. No, all you've done is disclose to them that there is such thing as agency.
Yes.
That's it.
Scope is eight.
All right, page 2 of this agreement is the code, the civil code that holds us to the standard of the fiduciary. If you ever need some light reading material for to go to sleep at night, feel free, read that. Otherwise, trust that you get fined if you don't do something right. Okay, so now we're going to look at the buyer representation agreement. Gloria.
Okay, normally when my clients sign and I pass to that page, I always tell, this is the code of the code of the state of California that was subject to serve you as an agent. I don't know if I disclosed it right or not.
Say it one more time for me.
This is the codes by the state of California that we as an agent are subject to follow to provide the service
Yeah.
to our clients.
Yes,
Okay.
that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So this, I like the way you said it.
Yeah.
So this is the document that's gonna establish the service that I'm gonna provide you. And make sure that we're on the same page. Because the last thing that I would want, Mr. and Mrs. Byer, is to find out that I did something you didn't want me to do. So this is gonna help us with that. Okay. Now, what if somebody says, I don't want to be glued to you. I don't wanna be, like, I'm afraid to sign with you because then what if I don't like how things are turning out?
Okay, you're free to cancel any time that you feel that I'm not providing what I promised to you today. I'm willing to cancel the agreement.
Wouldn't I do that with a listing?
Right, absolutely.
I mean, I did, right? I would always tell my people, and there were some clients that were untrusting that would say, you say that now. And then I say, no, it's not a problem. I can put it in writing. I can put it in the listing agreement, that if for any reason you're not satisfied with the level of service that I provide, with a 2-week notice, I'll cancel it. And the only reason I give you the 2-week notice is because just in case there's something that I could do to earn the right back, it gives me 2 weeks to get my act together. And if I still haven't gotten my act together, then I don't deserve your listing. Because I'm coming from a place of confidence that they're gonna appreciate my level of service.
Right.
If I'm running around not providing good customer care, then I wouldn't want to say that. I'd be afraid of that statement. I don't want to lock people in. No. In fact, it doesn't happen very often when you are at that level. Are you following me? So it would be the same thing with a buyer. Buyer says that I don't know because I don't know what I don't know yet, and I've only met you twice, and I've talked to you in person one time. That's today. And should I sign my life away to you? Well, here's the good news. You're not signing your life away. You're just going to sign a 3-month agreement with me, and I'll even put in the contract that if for any reason you're not satisfied 100% with my services, I'll cancel with a 2-week notice. Is that fair?
I like
Is
the
it-
2-week notice because that's like a warning.
It's like a warning, right? And both sides can see that it's fair. I do 30 days on a listing. Usually 2 weeks on a buyer representation agreement. Because buyer representation agreements are for a shorter period of time. And I feel like the listing, there's outside of your control. If why would a seller typically be unhappy?
If we don't have the-
House is not selling.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Blame it on the realtor.
Blame it on the realtor. Fire Jenny, hire Ray, call it a day.
Yeah.
Right? And the reality is these two agents have access to the same exact,
platform.
the same websites, the same MLS.
Yeah.
They're both gonna have signs they put in the yard. They're both gonna have business cards that they hand out. They're both gonna have flyers. Right? They both want to sell so they can get paid, right? Now, this is excluding agents who truly do neglect their clients. I'm not referring to that, because there are those agents
Yeah.
that are out there, so. But mind you, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the agent that is like really trying to sell the property and you're not getting any traction, right? You know, what would be the reason that we're not getting any traction, by the way? I'm off a little bit, but I'm gonna get back on it. Promise. The price, right? There are 3 things that sell a house, and only 3 things. There's not a fourth. What are they? Price, condition, location. And that is it. There is not a fourth. When I was in Washington, one of the people got up and said there was a fourth, and that was marketing. I completely disagree. I defy you. Well, let's just do the example. The houses in this tract right across Rancho Vista Boulevard. Those houses run what? 550? Some of the bigger ones 600? Okay. What if I listed it for $799?
Good luck.
And then I proceeded to spend $1 million in marketing. I know it sounds stupid, but will it sell?
It's not gonna sell.
There's not enough marketing effort that I can do to sell an overpriced home. So marketing isn't one.
Right. It's not gonna sell.
But location.
Yes.
Now I can't control the
No,
location,
cannot, no.
but the location does control what?
Price.
The price.
Mhm.
So here we are again, the price, and then the condition.
Mhm.
And I can sometimes control the condition, right? I can advise my client to paint the walls, put new carpet in, fix the toilet seat,
Mhm.
right? I can, whatever. And if they won't, then what do we have to adjust?
Price.
The the price. I do that for dramatic effect. I don't think the people on Zoom can see that. Right? It all comes down to the one thing, is the price. And whose job is it to set the price?
Nature.
It's the professional's job to coach the client into selecting the correct price. Ultimately, the seller does set the price because it's their house and their money. But it's our job to coach them into doing the right thing. Same thing as with a buyer. It's our job to coach the buyer into spending the correct amount of money for the product that they want. Not about our commission, not even anything. That's part of the reason, guys, part of the reason I like this new way is because it's not tied to the house anymore. I mean, we as realtors make it about tied to the house.
Right. Right.
But it isn't. It's now it's tied to your service. That's why I tell you there's no reason why you cannot get 3% commission. They need you now more than ever. If you truly believe that. If you don't, if you're hem-hawing, then you won't get the 3%. I'm no judgment in it, that's not bad, I'm just telling you that you won't. If you're not firmly convicted that they need you, you will not get the 3%.
Right.
But if you are, they'll sign at 3%. Now, what if they're flat broke? What if they don't have any money? Then you can, because commissions in the state of California are negotiable, you can reduce your commission to whatever you and the client feel is
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, you can.
Again,
Yeah.
it goes back to what is correct. What I don't want you to do, though, is I don't want you to come into it with a mind of scarcity, thinking that you have to tell all your Vons shoppers not to go to Walmart because you'll lower the price to get the better fruit.
Right, right.
You're not going to get the better fruit. Right? You're going to get the lower fruit when you hire the less person. Now, I, as the better fruit, thank you so much. You're incredible.
You read my mind.
Incredible. By the way, when I get passionate,
I'm
I
a wife,
sweat
that's
like
why.
a stuck hog. Yeah. Anybody who knows me knows this happens to me every class. But you're not going to get the better fruit for the lower price unless I decide that I want to. I want to work with you. I realize your finances are what they are, and I don't want that to affect our relationship.
Okay.
So, okay, fine, I get it. But guess what I'm putting on the buyer representation agreement?
Checking that box.
Oh, I gotta scroll down a little bit.
Checking that box.
What am I gonna do? On amount of compensation, what am I gonna put?
3%.
3%. Even if the buyer is broke? Yes. Why?
Because the seller is over 3%, is willing to pay 3%, and I put less, I get less.
That's right.
Okay.
This is the maximum amount that you are allowed to collect as a buyer's agent. So if you have 5% here, then, and the seller's offering you 6%, or let's say the seller's offering 3 and the buyer was paying you 3, you can't get 6
Right.
because you only put 5. Or in this case, we put 2.5. A lot of agents will put on this. And the commission was 3, and they don't get 3, they get 2.5 because that's what they said that their value is.
Right.
So you put 3. By the way, I think that 3% representing a buyer is satisfactory, and I think that 3.5 to 4% is satisfactory when representing a seller. as listing agents, and by the way, what's one of the things that we focus on as real estate agents? Buyers or sellers?
Sellers,
Sellers. Why is that, Henry?
because sellers, we can, listings, leads, leverage.
Listings, leads, leverage. This was for something else, but it is. It's listings, leads, leverage. So we want to go after listings because that gives us the leverage and brings us the leads. And if we're focused on listings and we take a 4% listing, are we making more money?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Now, you can't just take 4% commission and charge 4% commission because you want to make more money. You have to have something to back that up.
Yes, you do.
You have to have a product to back that up.
Right.
Your value proposition.
Your value proposition. So I would encourage you that if the only class at KW that you come to is this one, that's great. But I would encourage you to come to some of the others, because in the others we start going into more of the business practices. This is contracts class, so we're just teaching you. We are teaching you the technical, right? With a little bit of slant. Because I want you to, I've gone over this thing with you guys so many times now. I wanted to bring a little bit more practical, how would you use it? Okay, so that's why we're doing this. So put 3% and put 4% on a listing contract. Why wouldn't you?
Right.
If we all have the same resources, why am I worth 4 and you're worth 3?
Perfect.
That's a great question. That's good.
That's a great question. Maybe you should come to next week's team meeting at 11 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what room it'll be in.
Okay?
By the way, when you guys walked in, did you all put a wall in your just imagine a wall here?
Oh,
I want you to do that from now on. When you walk in this room, just put a wall up and pretend like this is not here.
Oh, okay.
No.
Oh,
it's okay.
we don't see that.
Last night I told the people, forgive our home, it's dusty. You know when you invite somebody over to the house and you haven't had a chance to pick up and you're thinking, now some of you probably have that perfect house all the time. That isn't us, we have 4 kids, but so you end up apologizing, I'm so sorry, we didn't have a chance.
If you come to see me, then come anytime. But if you come to see my house, you have to make an appointment.
Yeah, make it look right. I like it a lot. Blow the window to clean it. I like it a lot. So now, how long are buyer representation agreements good for?
3 months.
I think 6 months is the max.
Trick question.
3
Yeah.
months.
How long are they good for?
What was the question?
They're as good for as long as they're written. It was a trick question. They're as good for as long as they're written.
Gotcha.
If you write a 2-week, they're good for 2 weeks.
Okay, gotcha.
Now, the question that you were trying to answer, what is the maximum amount of time that a buyer representation agreement can be in place?
3 months.
3 months. 3 months. If you have an exclusive buyer representation agreement, which means what?
Exclusive for you.
Exclusive. What does exclusive mean versus non-exclusive?
Basis, just
Non-exclusive.
between you and
They
that
cannot
person.
be working with another agent.
Yeah.
Exclusive means that they're going to work with you only.
Right.
Yeah.
Non-exclusive means they could work with you and the other person down the road. Okay. In an exclusive, how long is the cancellation period?
90 days?
No, 30 days.
30 days. So if a buyer cancels, the cancellation is not effective for 30 days, according to the agreement. So go back to my 2-week analogy. What do you think you might do to overcome that if you wanted to offer a 2-week?
Reduce the days.
Right?
Hot diggity dog! Reduce the days to 2 weeks. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Of course you can. It's an agreement. Now, you can't change it longer than 90 days because the law prohibits that.
Right.
Do you see the difference? As long as you're within the side of the structure of the law, you can make any agreement you want.
What happens if you work with an agent longer, with a buyer longer than 90 days?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do we need to it hasn't happened to me, but do we need to create a whole new contract or it can just be extended?
You can extend it.
Is there a form?
There is, it's called the modification of terms.
Oh,
It's the
that one,
same
yeah.
document that
Okay.
you would use to extend a listing agreement. You could use the modification of terms.
For
So when
buyers.
like we use, if we need to reduce the commission because the seller is paying less.
You need to reduce the commission because of why?
The seller is paying less that we agree on the,
Then the buyer pays it.
Buyer's agreements.
You wouldn't have to do that because, did you guys hear the question?
Yeah.
Do we have to modify if the seller's paying less? So if we've agreed to 3%
Oh, I see.
and the buyer says to us, I don't have any money, right? And so then, I'll tell you how to get around that in a second. So the seller says, we're gonna pay 2.5, but your document says 3 and your buyer doesn't have the other half. The question was, do you have to modify the agreement to the 2.5? And the answer is no, you do not.
so why is escrow requesting the modification?
Well, then provide it. And I actually can see why they would, so maybe, by the letter of the law, you don't, but I can understand, and here's why, because it's gonna be on the contract. It's gonna be on the residential purchase agreement, who's paying how much.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why, by the letter of the law, you don't have to, because now that contract is superseding the buyer representation agreement in law.
Okay, and
But
then-
with escrow, that is the escrow instructions. That right? And so I could see as an escrow holder how that would be confusing to me.
yeah, because I will see
And how
that-
I'd be looking for the extra money.
Yeah, because I will see that I've been getting a lot. I always put the 2% on my buyer broker representation agreement, and the seller's counter offer for 2.5 or 2%, and we agree. So, but even if they have that weak common agreement, they're asking who is paying the difference because your buyer broker agreement says one thing, seller's only paying this thing, who's paying the difference?
Yeah. I understand I understand the confusion. So it's not a problem. I would say then it makes sense. And I would just say as a blanket statement, let's just go ahead and do a modification for now. Now, will that change? More than likely, that's gonna change, because more than likely, the forms committee at CAR is gonna get together and say, now how do we solve this problem? And then they'll come up with a solution, and then that will no longer be necessary. But until then, yeah. The other thing you can do is down here on the next page, you can select Other. So this is page 1. Going on to page 2, you can select Other.
Okay.
Oh, other, yeah.
And you can, not that you would take away from the broker,
Right.
the BCA, you wouldn't take away from the BCA, but you can check Other and you can say Addendum. And then on that addendum, you can say with your buyer, if the compensation exceeds, if the compensation, now a sneeze? What, where did that come from? Another one. Dresses. If the, how would we word this? If the seller's offered compensation is less than 3%, buyer broker agrees to receive that compensation in full.
To adjust the compensation.
Yeah,
That's what we.
yeah. That way, you could give that to escrow, and then escrow would have it, and you wouldn't have to modify it.
Okay.
Can you repeat
Yes.
that?
No. I could try.
Yes, please.
Okay. I came up with it off the cuff. What did I say? I said, if sellers offered compensation, if sellers offered compensation
Less than 3%.
is less than 3%, buyer's broker agrees
To accept,
to accept,
Adjust,
say it again,
adjust or accept?
accept.
That's full payment.
Offered compensation or something like that.
That's full compensation.
Yeah.
It's less than 3%.
Something like that. Maybe I'll. Maybe I'll put an inquiry into CAR legal and ask them for some verbiage. Okay, so the question in the back, not in the back, but on Zoom, was the 0.5%. So the answer would be yes. If you had a 3% agreement, right here on page 1, you said 3%,
Yeah.
and then the sellers was willing to pay 2.5%, then the answer is yes, the buyer would be responsible for that other 0.5%.
Right.
Unless you have an agreement with them otherwise. Now, I'm not saying you have to have that agreement outlined ahead of time, although if I were you, I would. I would have that conversation, right? Okay, it's gonna cost this, but what do we do if the seller's only willing to pay 2%?
And the buyer doesn't come in.
And you know, then the buyer says, well, Jeffrey, I don't have any, I don't have it. And then what I would do as a buyer's agent is I would get out the calculator and I would say, so that 0.5% is
X.
X. So I just want to make sure that we're clear. You're saying that you don't have that. And just, you know, you can say it in your way. You're not going to say, I'm direct, so I'm going to say it directly, but you say it in your way. And you're just going to have that conversation. And if the answer truly is no, they do not, then you can say, all right, then I'll do an addendum. I'll do an addendum that says that I'll take the 2.5. Huh?
Okay.
Or the 2 or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever the amount is that they,
Yeah.
whatever they, you know. But if I'm sitting down with them in the very beginning and I'm going through it and I say 3 and they say they don't have it, then at that point in time I'm gonna have a conversation about, well, like, I think I said that wrong with where I'm trying to go with this. Here's where I'm trying to go. I think that you should have a minimum cost of doing business. That's what I'm trying to say. So if you have a minimum cost of 2% to work with, or 2.5% to work with a buyer,
Right.
and the seller's offering less than that, then I think there should be some agreement in place that says, I can't represent you if you can't pay me a difference.
The only disadvantage that I see as writing the order is because we submit those forms to the listing agent when we submit the offer. They're
Thank
gonna
you.
see that we're willing to accept less, so they're gonna offer less.
Thank you for saying that, Virginia. So here's what's great. All you have to present to the listing agent is page 5.
And I was told that, and I asked in one of the meetings, and I was told all of them. Because an agent from down below said, I can only provide you with page 5. And I called and they said, oh, they have to, like, I said, do I only need to provide page 5? And I was told all of them.
Who told you that?
In the meeting you did, I'm sorry.
When
That
was
was at the beginning when all the changes were.
Yeah. So remember I said back then, I said things are not gonna be the same as I say them they are
Correct.
today. So
Okay,
that's one of
fine.
the changes.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
In fact, that happened in October, because what they did is they made another change.
I closed in November.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So-
heard you, page 5 is in a different class.
Yeah, it is.
Show page.
Yeah, it is. So, by the way, you guys, this stuff that we're going over as it relates to the settlement, be prepared for there to be constant changes. Because they're learning, they don't have it all figured out. They're moving, and as lawsuits come in, and as people complain, and as, you know, they're working out the kinks. Like, you notice the SPBB is gone? The SPBB is gone because now there's something on the contract that
It's hard.
yeah, now it's on the RPA. So there's always gonna be changes, so just be on the lookout for that, okay? Yeah, you gotta be, and really, you know, think about it. The average sales price in the Antelope Valley is $480,000, and what's the average commission?
$10,000.
It's right around 12 grand, right? Give or take a couple of bucks, right? And we're getting paid $12,000 to sell somebody's house, and we can't be on top of our own situation.
Education.
See, it doesn't just have to come from me, although, you know, we're gonna do this every 2 weeks. We're gonna do this for 90 minutes every 2 weeks this year, but CAR is offering all kinds of webinars on forums, and there's articles, and but please do not take anything unless it comes from CAR Legal or your broker.
Okay.
Please, okay? Because there's so much confusion going on that not all brokers are actually understanding and interpreting the information the same. And the problem is I'm not saying that they're wrong and I'm right. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that I am responsible for you. At the end of the day, I have to stand before the Department of Real Estate and say, this is what I told Ray to do. Right? But if Ray got it from some other broker,
Right.
then it's still my license that gets in trouble for something somebody else said. And that's the part that I don't want to do. But I'll stand up for what I tell you all day long and twice on Sunday.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
So just please listen to your broker or the CAR legal team. So if it's something that CAR legal puts out, great. That's where I'm getting my information, is why I say that.
Excellent, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Down here on 9B, this is where the buyer says, I don't have any money. And then at this point, you have to decide whether or not you're going to continue to represent them or not. What I don't want you to do, and what you have to be very careful, is let's say that a buyer has no money to pay you at all. Which, how often is that happening?
71% of the time.
Most of the time. So, if you remember in August, I would joke that all of a sudden on August, because it's all into effect August 17th, on August the 18th, the buyers across America didn't wake up and say, oh, I have more money in my bank account today. That didn't happen. In fact, with the economy that we had, they probably woke up and had less money than they thought they had the day before. So that part is still going to remain. So we have to be prepared. Now, here's the deal. Listing agents, good quality listing agents, are still coaching their sellers to pay buyer broker commission.
That's right.
Yeah. So really, effectively, not a heck of a lot has changed. What has changed is obviously the amount. The sellers are not willing to pay 3% typically. They're paying less. And this is where we, as buyer's agents, need to be better at showing our value so that the customers that can pay the true price of doing business can and will. If they cannot, then it's up to you to decide whether you work with them. But what I don't want you to do is if you find a house, because think about the dilemma you'll be in. I want to see this house over in Witherell Place. And you guys go look at it and you find out that they're only offering a 1.25% commission and you're charging 3%, and the buyer doesn't have any money. And the buyer says, but I really want this house on Witherell Place. Are you not in a pickle?
No.
Take it.
I'm in a pickle because I want to do what's best for the client. So Drew would probably go ahead and sell him the house.
That's why I say we are not in a
And I
pickle.
would take the hit. Well, I would not say, I can't sell you this one.
It won't be fair for them.
It's not fair for them.
No. What about if they're drinking?
It's not fair for them.
Yeah. You
So-
might lose something, but you'll gain a client.
You gain a client for life.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
That's where, when we say customers are always right, then that's where that comes in, right? But I'm talking about a true client that truly cannot pay it. Not somebody who's trying to scam you for money. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, makes sense.
Somebody, right? So you have to be careful. So you gotta make sure that you're having this conversation in this buyer consultation meeting. It's crucial that you talk about all of that. What happens if we see a house they're only offering 1.25? Then what will we do, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer? And your buyer might say, well, I guess we just won't buy that house.
And what if they're not offering any compensation for that too?
Yes. What if they're not offering any compensation? You gotta ask your buyer that. Then what will we do? And if the buyer says to you, well, then I guess we won't buy that house. Then what I would say is, so am I hearing you tell me Do I hear you instructing me to not show you any homes that are offering less than 2% commission? Is that what you just told me? And if the buyer says yes, because I can't afford to pay you the rest, perfect. Here's what I want you to do. Please put that in an email to me, telling me that you're instructing me not to show you any houses that are not offering at least 2% commission.
But you don't know how much compensation they're offering until you,
You make the appointment. Yeah, you gotta call and ask.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to call the listing agent and ask them, or go to some of them are doing landing pages, some of them are doing Facebook. Please don't,
Don't tell me.
please, for the love of Pete, do not join any Facebook, Instagram, Zillow, I don't care what they call themselves, groups, where they share information about commissions.
Oh,
That is why we're here in the first place. Because that's what they claimed that the MLS did. Do you see? All we've done is taken it away from NA. And by the way, I hope I don't offend anyone, but the dumb realtors are the ones saying that NAR is the problem. So if I offend you by that, I'm sorry. But NAR, it's because you're not educated enough to know that NAR is you. Last time I checked, most of us don't screw ourselves on purpose. But do we screw ourselves sometimes? We do. We all self-sabotage without even knowing it, right? Well, we are NAR. And yes, we were asleep at the wheel when Zillow came on, and yes, Zillow is the reason this is all coming down the pike. I've been telling you that for this 8 years that I've been at KW. I've been singing that at the mountaintop, and here we are.
And we still playing them.
So, where was I gonna go? What was I saying?
I said, don't join Facebook groups or Instagram.
Oh.
So they share all the
Yeah, so if you join the Facebook group, and those same people are saying NAR's dumb,
Right.
and yet they're starting the same thing, that NAR is not the one who got us sued. Zillow is the one who got us sued. Let's keep our eye on the ball. The competition, you know, the CEO of Zillow, the guy who was offered and invited to come on stage to family reunion at Keller Williams and have a conversation openly and honestly in front of, I don't know, 18,000 KW realtors. And whenever Gary Keller offered him an opportunity to maybe partner up together, and maybe Zillow and KW could take over the world together, the CEO of Zillow said, I don't need you.
wow.
So the next time you think you want to write a check to Zillow, think about that. They caused this because they want to eliminate all of you and pay somebody $50,000 a year to sit at home and do the internet and collect all the administrative fees because they don't charge commission.
I went to show homes to this open door place.
Yeah?
Horrible. Horrible, horrible.
I heard that.
I submitted an offer, never
Right,
got back
because-
to me.
I heard that too,
And,
yeah.
you know, I emailed them saying, you know, what's the deal? You know, are you getting back to me? So my buyer asked me, you know, why they're not responding? And I told him, I said, well, that's what happened when people pay cheap companies to list their home.
Oh, wow.
Or when, cheap companies who have somebody on salary,
Yeah.
right? When was the last time you had a great experience at the DMV? And so when you think about things that are mandated and things that are like forced into place, and then we lose the competition and the free marketplace that happens, and you look, I want you to think about the Department of Motor Vehicles, and think about how well that does, and then think about how well real estate would do if it was the same kind of thing. But who would win in that case? If Zillow got their way, who would be the winner? The board of directors and the shareholders of Zillow, and not another person. Right? So you got to think, NAR, if NAR wins, who wins? We all win.
Yeah.
For Pete's sake.
National Association.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Pay your realtor action fund. I know money is tight, I get it, and yet and National Association of Realtors has been, I don't know if it still is after
Okay.
this, has been the #1 lobbyist in the country, even more than NRA.
Wow. Wow.
Things like the Mortgage Deduction Act, do you know what that is?
Explain that once before I, can you?
Yeah,
do
so
that again? Yes.
a homeowner can write off from their taxes, their taxable income, they can write off the interest that they pay to their mortgage holder every year up to $30,000 per year. Do you know how many times that has been slated to be cut?
Wow.
We've been fighting that since 1992. We fought it with Bill. We fought it with Obama. We fought it with Joe. And we won every single time. Because the National Association of Realtors goes to bat and fights and gets it won. CAR is the second largest.
They just called for the landlords, right, also? For
Yes.
the-
And we won.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, so pay your Realtor Action Fund fees.
But this year they put a one for 149.
Pay it. It's 150. You pay more than that when you take your family to Black Angus. Come on.
I never was a black
Could be more than that.
You know what I mean. All right, are you guys done? Everybody's leaving. Are we done? No, you guys, they're done, but you're not? Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right, bye. I know I can get a little passionate and get on my soapbox, but this stuff is important. This is our business.
Of course.
150. If I said, Demery, you give me $150 and your $500,000 a year income will be protected.
Yeah.
Would
Might
that
be a good
would that
investment.
be worth the investment?
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. Yes, it would.
I said Black Angus because you can take Black Angus you can take your family to Black Angus for 150, but you can't go to the Broken Bed. I won't even talk about that.
Yeah.
I go by myself.
And it's still 150.
And it's still $150.
Black Angus would.
Just for him.
Yeah, right? I mean, you guys get what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
It's a small price to pay
Right.
Yeah.
for what you get and what they're doing for you. And then you can do that addendum as we talked about. I think that's all that I have slated to really go over. What do you have? What are your questions, your comments, your concerns, any ahas, anything else you want to talk about? It doesn't even have to be related to the buyer broker agreement if you don't want it to be. Let me help you. Sure.
Can you make this document for just one day? Because I had a buyer who didn't want to sign it for 3 months, but didn't tell me and went and found someone else.
Oh, okay. So how long is the buyer broker agreement good for?
As long as it's written for.
As long as it is written for. So if you wanted to do a 1 day, you could. If you wanted to do a one property, you could.
Okay.
Just like you can do a one-time listing agreement, by the way. Did you know you could do that? If you've got somebody who is on the fence about listing their house with a realtor, right? And you say, I have a buyer, but I'll only bring the buyer if you let me represent you. Okay, as long as you bring the buyer, this particular buyer, I'll sign a listing with you. So they sign the listing agreement and it says if Harry Arnold buys the property, then I pay you the money and you represent me. And then if Harry Arnold does not buy the property, done. We're no longer in agreement, right? It's called a one-time listing agreement. You can do a one-time buyer agreement, just same way. And you can do it in the number of days, Carol, or you can do it in the house. Let's say that they identify these two houses they want to see with you, and only those two houses. Then you can write the agreement up to specify, if I sell you one of these two houses, you're going to pay me, and if I don't, we're out of contract, we're done. Now, of course, I'm going to coach you not to do that.
Right.
And you have the freedom, right? I want you to be the professional. I want you to gain knowledge so that you can gain confidence, so that you can coach your client into understanding the reason why they want to sign a 3-month agreement with you. Are you following me?
Yes, I am, just in this situation, he never got back to me, so.
Perfect.
I agree
Yeah,
with you.
you,
Yeah.
you can't help every situation. Yeah, of course, you know. And would I sign a 1 day to show a property? Yes. Because what I would want to do is I'd want to get my foot in the door, and then I'm going to
Yep.
use that opportunity
Right.
to build rapport
Exactly.
and get that extension.
Exactly.
I relayed that to back in the days before we even really did buyer representation agreements, and a buyer would call and want to go see a property, and I would try to get as much information and do the qualification over the phone the best that I could. But if they were some, hard guy, it was difficult to extract information from, and I was going to lose him if I didn't go to the property. I would go to the property. In fact, my little saying was 1 and done. So I'll give it 1 because now you might say 2 and done. I'm not telling you to do 1 and done.
Right.
You have to base it on your capacity and how you feel that you can close people. I feel I can do it in 1. So I said, I'll show you the house, and in my head I'm going, I'm listening to Eye of the Tiger on the way there, I'm getting the whole thing, we're gonna win this deal, right? And then I either would or I wouldn't, and if I didn't, then I wouldn't show.
Yeah.
Because I worked with people, and I would tell them, I would love to, Jaime, but you said no. But now I'm calling you back, I understand, and I'm still willing to. But here's the deal, if you're gonna see houses with Joette, and you're gonna see houses with me, I'm gonna only work with the people who really value me. Joette's a great agent.
Right.
And by the way, if you can do that, I know that's not for everybody, but if you can do that, you'll be surprised at how many people will say, I'll fire Joette.
How about that? Yeah.
Because that builds respect
It
and
does.
confidence.
You
I'm willing to give it up.
teaching people how to treat.
I'm not, right, I'm teaching them how to treat me. I'm not chasing, please. Now, in my heart, I'm going, please.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Not on the outside.
But not on the outside. On the outside, I don't need it.
And professional. That's what I like.
Okay, good, thank you.
You're welcome. It's the same thing with a seller who doesn't want to pay 6% commission back in the day, now and before, but it would be the same thing. Perhaps I'm not the realtor for you. Well, no, Drew, I didn't say that. I just said I think you should do it for 4.5 because Joette will. Oh, Joette's a great agent.
What about when they call you for your listing? Can you give them that information that they?
If they call you for your listing, you can. You just have to tell them that you're working on behalf of the seller.
Okay.
Try to get an appointment. Clara, thank you for calling me today on the house on Witherell Place. Yes, I am the listing broker. The state law does require that I inform you that I am right now working on behalf of the seller. So any information that I give you is on behalf of the seller. Is that okay if we continue talking? Of course. Okay, great. What would you like to know? And then you can do the batting back and forth. Do you know what I mean, the batting back and forth?
No.
They get a question, I get a question. They get a question, I get a question. They get a question, I get a question. Somewhere in there, I like to take over and have all the questions.
Makes sense.
That's the goal.
You're in the right.
Yeah, the goal is that I take control of the conversation and end up with all the questions and make the appointment.
What about the forms that they needed to sign before when we did the open house?
So there's an open house sheet that you have to have out for them to sign. What they're signing is that you were there working on behalf of the seller. And anything that you say, or anything that they see, or anything that they hear or pick up is on behalf of the seller, and they're not
What's
being
the name of
represented
the
by
sheet?
you.
Is that
It is in CAR Forms
Yeah.
Library, but I don't remember the name of it. If you type in open house, it's gonna come up.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
okay.
Maybe we should do some of those ancillary documents next time.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
What else?
Cause I got an email from my TC telling me all the forms, and my lord, they were like oodles of forms that they new
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
So when are we touching bases on those?
The forms,
Okay.
that you can see them anytime by going into command and going to opportunities and looking up a file under documents. Then all the required documents would be in there. And then specifically going over them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The new
That's what
one.
these classes are for.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so thank you, Jenny. I'll put that in my cap for one of our contracts classes to go over. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, this is good, guys. I need the feedback because I don't know when you want to go. Like, I want to meet you where you are, and Demery,
Well, can I go over a listing point scenario
please.
that I have coming up?
Oh, yes,
That'd be
please.
okay.
Oh, my gosh, yes, please.
Well, basically,
Are you going to be wearing your listing attire?
yes.
Okay, perfect. Perfect.
No shorts and flip flops.
No shorts and Michael Watson's got the listing attire on today, right? Demery's got the listing attire on today. I have the listing attire on today. You're gonna see me show up every day with listing attire, 'cause who's my listings? As your team leader, who are my listings?
Our listings. Are yours?
As your team leader, not your broker.
Oh,
As your team leader, what are my listings?
The broker's listings.
Huh?
Your broker's listings?
Not as the broker. As the broker, I am both, right? I wear two hats in this company. I am your broker, so all of your listings are my listings technically by the letter of the law. But I'm also your CEO, your team leader, right? So
Right, okay.
as the team leader, what are my listings? Let me back up.
Oh,
As you guys, some of you remember that I was here as a coach before. You guys remember that? I was here as the productivity coach. So as the productivity coach, what was my listing?
The agents.
The agents.
yes. yes.
The agents are my listings.
Right.
Right? Are you with me?
Yes, yes.
That's what's so beautiful about this business, you guys, is it's all so simple. We complicate it, but it's also doggone simple. You see, I am actually modeling for you what you should be doing with your clients. You are all my listings. All of the potential listings are outside of KW. Those agents that are outside of KW are potential listings that I'd like to get.
got it.
Right? And I would like to go on listing appointments. In fact, I would like to go on listing appointments every day of the week.
Yes.
Well, only the ones that end in Y.
Yeah.
I want to go on listing appointments every day of the week. Right?
Right.
Do you want to go on listing appointments every day of the week?
Yes.
Yeah, right? We want to have as many listings as we possibly can.
Right.
So my question is, before I get to you, Demery, my question is,
Go ahead.
if you knew of an agent
Yes.
who was looking to further their career in real estate
Mm-hmm.
and level up and could maybe take advantage of the education that Keller Williams has to offer,
Yes.
would you refer them to me?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Anytime, any day.
Okay.
Any day.
So now let's take that a step further. How will you refer them to me?
There's a little form that we can fill out.
Just
Have
email
them
it.
fill it out.
That's not a bad idea.
You get a name and number and have it.
Yeah.
Email.
Right, connect, just like, by the way, back when I sold real estate, what would I ask? So Demery, you're my client, and at the end of the listing presentation, after you've signed, not before. If it's before he's signed, I don't go there yet. But if he's signed, now I say, Demery, thank you so much for today. I'm so excited to sell your home. I look forward to getting you guys to Oklahoma and accomplishing your guys' goals. I'm stoked to get going. So just one more thing before I go. I would love it if during this process, if you found that my service is quality and is top notch, if you can do a 5 out of 5 for me, then what that would look like is if you knew somebody who was at your job or in church or your neighbor looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, I'd love for you to refer them to me, and I would love the opportunity to be in business with those people. Can we have that agreement?
Yes.
Perfect. So here's what that would look like, Demery. If you do come across somebody like that, is what happens is business cards get lost. So all I'd ask you to do, Demery, is just give me a shout with their name and phone number after you have their permission, of course. Just give me a call or a text or an email with their name and phone number, and I'll follow up with them and take real good care of them for you. Does that sound good, Demery?
It sounds good. Sounds great.
Okay, so now I just told all of you guys that.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's the
I like
same thing with realtors.
Yeah.
You see a realtor out there that needs KW. By the way, do realtors need KW?
it. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, for sure.
Absolutely,
Every day.
right? And if you feel that, then and you do believe that my service is a 5, then that means that I would be receiving referrals. Because you said you know realtors that need it, and I told you that I'm open for listing appointments.
Works.
It works. Go.
Well, I've met this, I've sold a listing in the area, and I met the gentleman. He's been kind of familiarized with, what I do in the area, so I had the opportunity to go by his house last week. I do the two listing appointment, 2 touches. So we went by there, he showed me around the home, showed me around the property, and, I'm complimenting him. Oh, this is great. Oh, yeah, this is wonderful. I love what you did, the kitchen, the backyard. So, oh, my goodness, I could definitely sell it. No, we're having a great conversation. So, a great conversation. So it comes to the end of, I said, well, you know what? I said, well, Eric, I got all the facts, everything I needed. I'd definitely like to come back by and, give all the facts to you. And we set up another date. He said, well, okay, you can come by this date, but I'm not going to sign. I'm not going to sign a listing agreement or anything like that. I want to make sure. I want to list a home in March. March this year. That's because I want to list it, but I'm not going to say anything. When you come back or anything. I said, yeah, I definitely get it. I understand. I just want to give you the information, that I got it from your home, so you can make a confident decision moving forward. And if you got another agent that you feel is best fit, it's okay. He said, no, Jimmy, no, it's not. I said, well, okay, well, I'll come back and I have all the information for you. Okay. He said, great. So we made an appointment for Monday. That's coming up Monday. So my question is, I'm gonna have a listing agreement with me.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have it with me, even though he said he's not gonna sign. He won't sign anything tomorrow. How would you present that, knowing that in his mind that he's not signing anything right now, but he wants to wait till March?
Demery,
If that makes sense.
By the way, thank you for meeting with me today and taking the time to meet a second time. And I hope that the information that I provided you today is giving you pretty much everything that you need to know. Can you share with me anything that I might have missed?
No, I really can't. You've answered all my questions. And
Perfect.
Yeah.
I love to hear that because that's what I aim to do, is to make sure that I fully educate you and you have everything you need as a seller to make a proper decision. So based on that, I know that we're not doing anything until March. I wouldn't want you to do anything a day before you want to. But based on our meeting today and the information that I've given you on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being that you go ahead and sign a listing agreement with Demery at KW, and a 1 being how fast will this guy get out of my house.
Love it.
Where do you fall?
I'm about 9.
A 9. Okay, perfect. I love a 9. 9 is great. 9 is room for improvement. So Demery, let me ask you, what would it take for me to go from a 9 to a 10?
I really can't, think of anything per se on your end. It's just, as far as I just want to make sure I got everything, my home ready, and things I need to be prepared before that day.
Okay, perfect. So then there's really nothing more that I can do, and we've satisfied everything there, right? Okay.
Yes.
All right, perfect. So the only other thing that I want to go over with you today, before I get out of your hair, is the listing agreement that you mentioned on the phone that you didn't want to sign because we're not going to go on the market until March. I understand that because most clients, most customers, the consumer, they usually think that a listing agreement is a marketing agreement, and usually there's this perception that means that you've got to put the house on the market in order to hire me, and that's not at all true. And so I'm not asking you to put the house on the market one day earlier than we want to. Demery. What I'm asking is, I'm asking for the job. And so if I put in the listing agreement, I put in the employment agreement that we're not going to go on the market until March, will we do the right thing today and sign the listing agreement and hire me?
Yes.
Good.
Wow,
That's
okay.
That's good.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
And
That works out.
Demery, he might say no.
He might.
And that's okay too. And so what if he says no?
When can we review the chip cluster?
Well,
What would be?
Okay, no, okay.
2 weeks from now.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that you're actually not sure that you want to hire me. By the way, Demery, I'm okay with that. There are a lot of realtors out there, and I'm okay. I'm not really, don't want to push you into doing it. I just want to make sure that I'm, in this interview process, I'm putting my best foot forward, let you know that I really want the job.
Let's go and get going. Let's do it. Let's do it.
There's power in silence.
No, it is.
Yeah, the next one that talks, that's
Yeah, there's power in silence, and the other thing is, I'm still not gonna force, that's probably gonna be the last time I ask.
Right.
If I still get a no, then at that point in time, I'm probably gonna say, Demery, I completely understand, I see where you're coming from, not a problem at all. I am so glad that we got together today, I'm glad I got to see the house and provide you with this information. When can I check back with you, just say hi and check in?
You know, about 2 weeks.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you a call, and would it be better if I called you or texted you in 2 weeks?
You can go and give me a text, that's fine.
Okay, yeah, I'll shoot you a text in a couple of weeks, and then, you know, just check in with you and see how things are going. And by the way, in the meantime, Demery, I don't want you to think that you can't reach out. In the meantime, if you and the wife are laying in bed doing pillow talk, and you guys have some burning, yearning question that you didn't get to ask, I don't care if it's 1 o'clock in the morning, shoot me a text. It won't bother me because my phone is on silent next to me, and it won't go off, and I won't even know that you texted me, but that way, you'll get it off your mind, and I'll see it first thing in the morning, and I can respond.
Okay.
How's that sound?
Sounds great. Okay.
Great, okay, I'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Okay.
That's good.
That's good. That's good. That's great.
Now, you notice?
Can I go back and play this again?
Yeah, go ahead over it.
Really, no, I'm serious.
Yeah, it's really,
Yeah, good. Go find it before next week.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
good.
do you notice how I'm doing this?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, always say yes.
Yeah, if I want somebody to say yes to me, I'm shaking my head. If I want them to say no to me, I'm what is it, a shake and a nod? I don't remember. I'm nodding my head and I'm shaking my head, depending on what I want their answer to be. By the way, even when you're on the phone,
Oh, really? Because it's in your.
by the way, when you're on the phone, smile.
It goes through.
Smile, do the same body language on the phone that you would do if you were in person. It makes an enormous difference. It's called the language of sales, you guys, and body language is just a part of that. And you're giving people permission to say yes. Try this sometime. Why did he take that pen from me?
Yeah, because you
Because I gave it to him.
Yeah, you offered to. Got you. So you said just give him the pen, just.
It's human
Love it.
behavior.
I love it.
Right? It's human behavior. Try this. Next time you're in Vons, because I know you all go to Walmart, the next time you're in Vons, walk up behind somebody and stand there.
Get it comfortable, man.
And just see if somebody don't come up behind you and stand there too.
Right in front of Starbucks.
Right? Just see if you don't have another line beside the line.
That's funny.
It's human behavior.
Wow.
So let's use it. Right? Because here's the thing, we're not asking anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. That is, let's be clear, we're not selling vacuum cleaners.
Right.
We're not burying somebody in a damn vacuum door to door that they don't really need and they'll regret buying in 2 months. That's not what we're doing. Right? So you're not having anybody do anything they don't want to do. You're helping them overcome themselves. What is your one thing as a realtor?
Helping them overcome their objections, helping your clients overcome their objections and fears. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Jimmy, you're almost there, buddy. You're almost there. Okay, so your one thing.
Good thing, please, yeah. Thanks, yeah.
Your one thing as a realtor. The one thing, meaning that if you focus on this one thing, it sort of makes everything else irrelevant. Everything else sort of just falls into place. Are you ready?
Yes.
Your one thing as a realtor is to take your client from where they are to where they want to be through their own fears and objections. That's it. I can record it if you want to. Your one thing as a realtor, your one thing as a realtor is to take your clients from where they are to where they want to be through their own fears and objections. That's it. If you do that, you'll get paid. If you do that, you'll get referrals. If you focus on the money, something strange happens and you don't get paid, you don't get referrals. But if you focus on that, you'll get paid, you'll get referrals, and you'll have repeat business. Oh my gosh, it's 10 after 3. I have an appointment. I had no idea. I thought it was about 10 till. I get fired up in here, can you tell?
Thank you.
Thank you guys.